all the on-slope, high-angle, really steep, scary stuff where you needed someone to be able to ski everything the talent was skiing. That's Chris Figenshau.
Something goes wrong, it's both our lives on the line. It's this whole other level.
It's not an easy job.
My name's Chris Figenshau. Grew up in East Lansing, Michigan. I've always been a photographer since I was pretty young. And in 1996, started doing it professionally. When Jackson Hole decided to create a website, part of their idea was to have photo of the day. Got in there and they hired me. This season was my 20th season shooting the photo of the day for Jackson Hole Mountain Resort.
Oh, that was it.
Doing the photo of the day can be amazingly easy when there's lots of good snow and there's good light. And it's fun to just sort of document the season. What can you do with a sunny day or a flat light day? I mean, it kind of keeps your creative eye going a little bit, having to just deal with whatever you got every day. Living in Jackson Hole, I've kind of pursued the mountaineering, ski mountaineering specifically. Been able to do a lot of international travel that revolves around climbing mountains, skiing mountains, and taking pictures. So that goes hand in hand with the Jackson Hole job, which is to keep me out in the mountains and in touch with the elements. I started doing video. We were using DSLR cameras, which is the same kind of camera that I used to do still photography. It made for a good fit, doing stills and video, and then started getting just straight video work.
I started doing these foot-powered films. You know, we had the long lens, but really wanted to get someone on the mountain capturing that raw emotion and what's going on climbing these things. Chris became my main on-slope cameraman, and I'd say that's where Chris's full skill set became apparent. When you have that on-slope person shooting video, it's often will be Chris and I making this happen. Meaning, you know, if something goes wrong, it's both our lives on the line. You couple the fact that he's carrying more weight and he's thinking about shooting and keeping his camera steady and the lens is not fogged, and it's this whole other level.
Chris has got a reputation within the industry. He is the guy that you never see, but is always there. Whether that's on projects with Seth Morrison or Jeremy Jones or myself. I mean, he is the guy that everybody calls when they need someone to do the job that nobody else wants to do. It's really underappreciated.
Yeah, Figs. Chris and I, we have a very similar approach to the mountains. We like to get locked in and try and hear what the mountains are telling us. And also, we both have kids and we want to come home. And we can, if it's not right, then we have no problem walking away from it.
We got married in 2012, and our son Jimmy came 9 months later. So that was a quick start to our family. And then Winnie came a couple years later, and it's totally a game changer, but we're loving it. It's fun. When we met, I really didn't know much about him or what he did. I started learning about these expeditions he goes on, and people talk to me a lot about if I ever worry when he's gone. But I've kind of compartmentalized that a long time ago, so I'm just more excited to hear how it's going. And I've actually seen more of a change in him recently, where he's a little more reluctant to go, mainly because he doesn't like being away from the kids for that long.
Jimmy started skiing when he was 3. He kind of clicked this year, now he's 4, and we are really trying to not push him into having to ski, but we're trying to trick him into loving it. A little nerve-wracking, isn't it? You know, now that I have a family, and part of what we want to do at Jackson is have our kids be skiers, having a job and a connection to the village is super important. So what started out as just sort of a fun job for me to help become a photographer has sort of become more of a connection to the community, become a connection to the village.
He has such a genuine and soulful connection really to the mountains and what he does, but he never toots his own horn. He never really tells people what he's up to, and I think he just really wants his photography to speak for itself, and he's wickedly funny.
Sometimes you have to sacrifice
People don't always get his sense of humor, but he's super sarcastic.
I've really carved out this brilliant niche for myself where I get called for the longest traverses, the coldest areas, the highest altitude, I've been doing it for 20 years. It's hard to imagine switching gears and moving to somewhere that doesn't have these mountains, doesn't have these kind of opportunities. This is it, this is what I do, and it's great.